Yuck. This is what happens when you buy shite lime. The water rising to the top when it shakes. Where are you? Shite. I'm going to be trying a new type of lime today because I couldn't get any from my normal place. So let's see how it goes. I'm just going to stick a scaffold up and take these acro props out because we put the lintel and the rybats in the other day. And we just need to build in and piece in round about and just finish off this pointing. Right, I'm going to attempt to give everybody a wee life lesson here. So when I was an apprentice, I used to work with a guy called Peter, really good stonemason, and we had a job in Edinburgh and it was loads of pointing, and the pointing was in a difficult nippy place, and behind beams and scaffolding and up. And I just said, oh, we'll leave it, we'll get it once the scaffold comes in and we'll get it off like a portable tower. Nah. And he told me, he says, no, just do it now. It's out the way, that's it done, and you won't have to worry about it in the future when the scaffold comes down at the end of the job. And I'll tell you what a feeling it was when the scaffold came down and we just could just walk away for the job. Amazing. Right, so here I've had to I'm not just going to build straight up here, because if I build straight up here it's going to be a straight joint and I don't want it. So I'm going to cut this stone back and piece in round about it so I can actually get like a decent bond and take a stone up to the height of the lowest stone on your left hand side, and then I'll stretch a stone over to give a decent bond. But first I've got to cut it out. Right, it's not much, but there we go. You've got a sort of half decent bond somewhere, so we can build up round about that, and then we can piece in the last bit of stone in a bit, and then we'll get to the point and I'll get explaining. Always take a few steps back and look at it. If anything jumps out as soon as you see it, fix it. That like couple of seconds when you like approach a job, if you turn around or you walk around the corner and you approach a job, if anything jumps out on you specifically, just fix it. Get it done. If it's a wee bit of pointing you've missed, anything, just fix it. Never put your handles, your pointing keys, in your mix. It's minging. And if you can, always make sure your wall is properly flushed, all your joints are properly flushed and brushed it properly. with prior to pointing. You want it, your wall to be sort of saturated, let it just almost go dry, and then start your pointing. Now, if your wall isn't damp enough, you'll get back to it and in the morning and it'll basically go bright white. You'll see what happens later. There's my 3 sort of selection of pointing keys I'm going to use today. So I've got 2 10mm ones, a Marshall 1 cut down, I've got another Marshall 1 there, and then we've just got a Mason's mortar one. It's like 20mm, I think. Perfect for this. So this house actually hasn't actually had any cement pointed on it, so we need to match in nicely with lime. We've built in cement, which isn't great, but we're going to point in lime anyway and try and match in a wee bit better. So we're using a mix of sharp sand and building sand. So we need a mix. It's a 5 and 2 mix of lime and sand, but you need 3 building sand, 2 sharp sand and 2 lime. So it's a 5 and 2. So we're going to use my thicker pointing key for pointing along the top of this lintel, because we've got a bit of a thicker bed, and I'm going to use my thinner pointing key here for around the doorway, the rivets and lintels. It's thinner joints. I think it's fucking dripping a bit. It's fucking annoying. So there used to be a conservatory here, but now they took it away, and then we used the stone from the old door and ordered some new stone and raised the height of the door, took the conservatory away. Right, so here we go. Right, so when you're pointing, you always want to point to a depth of about 25mm. A lot of this probably isn't here, but it's not really going to matter that much, to be honest, because it's built in cement, so it should be alright. I'll look after it. I'll wet it plenty and that, and it should be fine. So you always want to point into your mix, otherwise you end up with gaps in your mix, and then when you beat it back, you end up with holes, and it just doesn't dry properly. You need as much substance into the back of your joints or your beds as possible to allow it a long time to dry out instead of just drying it straight away, because if it does, it goes bright white and it cracks, and if it does that, it's basically knackered. Joint's not deep enough. There we go. So if you look closely, you can see bits of sand in it, bits of thick bits of sharp bits of sharp sand in it. So we're going to go for a mix of building sand and sharp sand to match in properly. And also I've chosen a lime that's got it doesn't dry out as white as possible. Who done this, by the way? If you see it. Honestly, I think that might be the worst attempt any sort of patching up I've ever seen. Make sure you pack your joints and beds. Pack them properly, because if you don't, it won't dry out properly. The sun will get on it, so you should really cover it with hessian. I never. So I had to go back this morning and the next again day, and I had to brush it up again. I'm gonna have to come back tomorrow and brush it up, because it's too wet. If I brush it now, I'll just end up with streaks and marks on the building. Anyway, you can see how white this has went, and you can see that I never covered it, so, and it's quite thin, so I'm now just going to take all the snotters off going to scrape them off, and I'm going to saturate it with water properly. I'm going to absolutely soak it with water and then I'm going to scrape it back, and then I'm going to brush it as well. So you'll see what I mean. I'll just let you watch the video instead of listening to me talking. So there you go, I'm just soaking it now. Scraping it back with a pointing key because it's something that was quite stiff. Right, so I actually seen this on somebody else's YouTube channel, watching him do some pointing on a bricky using the end of his pointing key, so I've actually used it and it's actually worked pretty well. So thank you. And then we're just going to beat it back properly, and it kind of finds its way into the crevices and all the sort of wee bits, and it just also gives it a finish as well. And you want to brush all the dust off at the end once it's nice and dry, and then you want to just soak it. If you're doing your own stonework, you just want to honestly just as soon as it's dry enough, and once it's brushed back, just give it a complete soaking. And this next bit I'm going to show you, I made an absolute mess of this. I brushed it with a wet brush, as you can see, and it's bleached over the surface. So you want to just take some lemon juice and some water, and always rinse your sponge out outside your bucket, or you end up with dirty minging water, and then you end up washing the lime all over your stone, and it just stains white. And I ended up throwing water over this early doors, and it ended up running all down the wall, so I had to end up staying longer and fixing it. So the moral of the story, fix your mistakes at a time. Just don't go too far with it. Don't be chucking water everywhere. That's the finished piece, and see what you think.